Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina, Mark Robinson, who is now running for governor, who
Yes.
you've probably seen. He's just like a rabid, he's an extremist. He's a transphobe. He he's a MAGA guy. He's also black. And now we know he's been commenting. This is as of a decade ago, but hey, he's been commenting on porn websites and revealing a whole lot about himself. One thing he commented, and I don't know why he would say this, he called himself a black Nazi. Fun.
Unprovoked. I love that all the news reports say unprovoked called himself a black Nazi. So it's just, and
nobody's
this
asking.
is circa 2010 or so. So this is long before he was in politics. And so at least when I was watching these reports, reading these reports, I was like, at least he really believes it. Sometimes I would think right-wingers are just saying what they think. I believe he's not new to this. He's true to this.
So yeah, exactly.
Robinson is true to this. Like, he was not in public office. He's just like proclaiming he's a black Nazi, honey.
He also said that he enjoys watching transgender porn. And this is in the comments, and admitted that he watches women, but specifically girls as young as 14, showering, and somehow was able to do that. This is from the from some reporting on it. He has said on the campaign trail, this is of February this year, if you're a man on a Friday night and all of a sudden, Saturday, you feel like a woman and you want to go into the women's bathroom in the mall, you will be arrested, or whatever we got to do to you, Robinson said at a campaign rally. We're going to protect our women. In other words, the bathroom bullshit. Yet privately under the username Mini Soldier on Nude Africa, Robinson graphically described his own sexual arousal as an adult from the memory of secretly peeping on women in the public gym showers as a 14-year-old. Sorry, he was 14, but he's peeping in on women. Robinson recounted the story as a memory he said he still fantasizes about. Laverne, this is what I've always said, but every accusation from the right is a confession of what they do, what they want to do. The whole bathroom thing was like, what the hell do you think women do in bathrooms? We don't look at each other. We don't peep at each other. We don't like fondle each other.
Like, you have to
you would be arrested if you do, no matter what your gender.
Public bathrooms, public bathrooms usually smell and are kind of gross, and I think I think of germs. Like, I go in and I try to get out. It's like I'm not hanging out, I'm not lingering. I don't like.
But this is the fantasy of a lot of men, is like, that's what they would do if they were like, and this is the thing, it's like, if they were suddenly planted in a women's bathroom, all they can think about, and not all men obviously, but like, is looking at women. And so again, this is just, it's so bizarre. But also, you drew my attention to, I guess, Joe Rogan a few years ago, kind of, I guess something.
It's a clip that's not very popular. So it was the leftovers. Hassan
an H3, right?
H3 moment. Yeah, let's play this moment and then we can discuss. Yeah.
Okay. Let me play.
It's not a clip that's gotten around a lot, but yeah.
You were touching on, there's been a number of transphobic conservatives who have been found with trans porn open either in their browser. That happened with Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
That happened with Alex Jones. So I find that so interesting.
Like, you can still be a woman. Just keep your cock.
Have you watched trans chick with dick porn? Because it's pretty great.
Have I not watched it?
It's pretty good because you get the dick and two women.
Yeah, but then you're kind of whacking off to somebody with a dick. Yeah, that's an issue.
But aren't you always? If you're watching a guy fucking girl?
I'm not really watching
scissors. It's the least gay of porn because you got a girl.
No.
I'll tell you about fucking a girl.
Bro, I'm not gay. Bro, you're way more gay than me, dude.
I just don't.
Bro, I don't look at dicks when I jerk off. You gay?
We have to keep our country gay.
I just don't. We can stop it there. Yeah. So that's a clip that. Some of this is seen in the trans community, and a lot of people aren't aware of it. And so I wonder, sometimes I'm like, is it not circulating because it's not real? But it seems pretty authentically like a Joe Rogan clip.
Oh, yeah.
So, but what's interesting to me is that Joe Rogan's sentiments there actually very much mirror what Mark Robinson says in his now revealed Nude Africa post, that his particular intrigue is seeing a trans woman with a non-trans woman engaged in sex. And so, and I also want to also remind us that Pornhub releases these stats of what's the most searched porn every year. And this year it was revealed, I think, again, that the red states that vote mostly Republican are the ones that are looking up trans porn more than any other state.
Yes.
So, and correlation is not causation, but like we've seen over and over and over again that is people that they are, and I'd love for, there's not enough men, straight identified men who are trans attracted, who are coming forth and talking about their experience. So there may be many left-leaning men, and I'm 52 years old, dated a lot, and I've dated a lot of men who identify as liberal or leftist who are into trans women, but there's a lot. In my experience, there's a lot of men who identify as conservative or right-leaning who are into trans women, and I don't know what that's about. I have no idea, but that tends to be, and just because he's looking at porn doesn't mean he's actually engaging with trans women outside of porn.
But I do think there's a certain amount of like exploitation that happens, because while you're simultaneously like, you're titillated, you're intrigued by trans bodies, but you also want to control them. This is so much more about you than it is about trans people. And I think that is also the other thing is like, it's so gross to exploit, and women's bodies are the same way, like in terms of pornography, and yet all we want to do is control them, keep them at home and whatever, make them have a million babies, but like, you can be there when I need to like, get off. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think with conservative men specifically, what people are into, there's nothing wrong with masturbating to trans porn, obviously.
No,
there's nothing wrong with any of if it's consensual, it's all good. I'm all about consent. But if it becomes intriguing, I think it becomes something to as a point of discussion with someone like Joe Rogan, who is consistently brought on anti-trans people, as espoused like deeply troubling things about trans people, but apparently enjoys masturbating to trans women. And what I think about this, and when I talk to my trans girlfriends, it's like we're never surprised by any of this. And what a lot of us feel like what conservatives seem to want when it comes to trans women's existence specifically, but trans people's existence, is that they want it like the old days, where we were mostly relegated to survival sex work, when we were on back pages and we were in sex work, but we weren't in the spaces. When I a decade ago, when I got my first Emmy nomination, I started going to Hollywood parties. There are the celebrities that like we know in the trans community who are having sex with trans women, who are patronizing trans sex workers. It is known, like we know. And when I started walking into these rooms as a trans woman nominated for an Emmy, and I saw a lot of the men that I know are, and they were the uncomfortability just because I'm there. Like I felt this energetic shift just because I'm in the room. And it's almost like, does she know? Has she heard? So there's an uncomfortability having us in the same spaces that they're in. I think it becomes a really, really difficult thing. And there was one particular celebrity, I won't name him. There's one particular celebrity who had invited me to a party of his, but he did it. I was in an event. I won't say the event. I'm trying to be discreet, but he was having a party, and he gave me the invite through his publicist, right? And I was at this event, and I was like, I'm Laverne Cox. I've been on the cover of Time magazine, and so I went up to him at the event, and we were surrounded by people. And I was like, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so sorry I can't go. I have to fly, and I have a gig. And I just remember him just being so uncomfortable in that moment that I was saying, I'm sorry I can't come in front of all these people. I'm like, well, you've invited me, and I'm here. I'm Laverne Cox. What's the problem? But then I was like, oh, he was doing the publicist slipped me the thing. And I'm like, and I refuse to be, I'm not doing this Hollywood.
You were like, I assumed it was an event that multiple people were invited
to. And and I think I have no reason to believe that it wasn't, but what he was used to, and what he thought implicitly that I should understand is that this invitation should be something that is a secret. And
Yes.
there's an uncomfortability with us actually being visible, being empowered, being able to say no to them, being in the same spaces that they're in, and maybe knowing their tea, that they're like hiring trans sex workers. And they're uncomfortable with it. Sometimes I think it's just they would rather us be relegated to sex work and second-class citizenship so that we're not in the same spaces that they're in, so that their secret can be maintained, and the fear and anxiety around that. Sometimes I think that's what it's about. Who knows? But I think what's important to understand too for me is that, like, I always like to remind people, just because you're having, just because you have sex with a Black woman doesn't mean you're not racist. Just because you're having sex with trans people doesn't mean you're not transphobic. Slave masters had sex, raped slaves. It does not mean that they love them. It does not mean, and unfortunately, far too many trans women, specifically, that's my experience, have been in situations with straight identified men that have been exploitative, that have been abusive, that have been degrading, fetishistic, and just because these men, what Joe Rogan is talking about there, what Mark Robinson's talking about, is fetishizing trans women. It's not loving trans women. It's not celebrating trans women. It's fetishizing trans women. And you can fetishize someone and then want all their rights taken away at the same time. So that's what's going on. And so I think it's important. I mean, it's a kiki. It's really like, it's a kiki. This man, like what he had the nerve to say publicly is kind of hilarious. Like I literally sent one of the headlines. It's like, I'm a Black Nazi. I like trans. The headline was so insane. It's like, it's so insane.
No, and the right's defending him. They're like, that, no big deal. Are you kidding me? But of course they want the governorship. They can't, at this point, they can't. I mean, he should drop out of the race, I think. But hey, whatever. He's
We're
Black,
in an
so
interesting
he can
place.
It's a DEI Nazi.
All the videos of Trump, like, and honestly, what I think people should, just be reminded of that, like the trans porn and then the Black Nazi thing is new, but he said like anti-Black white supremacist stuff for years, and people have been aware of it. So that was like not the bug, but the feature with this Black guy. He was plucked out of because he was saying he made a statement in some city hall meeting about guns, and the right wing was like, oh, we should get him to run for office. So it was like, being able to get a Black person to tout, white supremacist talking points is like, there's just such a market for that, in conservative politics.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.